My name is Alex Canion. I'm 34, almost 35 years old, and I play epic electro-progressive power pop synth metal on Eurovision stages, and I'm a Sandgroper. I'm a first-generation Australian. My mother was from Ipswich in England, and my father was born in the United States of America. They met here in Perth in the early 80s, and they had me in 1988, and so I was born and raised here. I did consider moving, and I had a lot of friends that moved to Melbourne to pursue their musical careers, and I don't know, I was always, all my family are here, everything I know is here. I did come to really appreciate Perth and really fall in love with the city again after having travelled. I think just it's such a picturesque, beautiful, laid-back place that you can shift gears and go a little bit faster if you need to, but you don't have to. And also, it's just so beautiful and safe, and we are truly, truly lucky to call this place our home. I really like to see maybe the entertainment industry kind of like maybe take a step up in Perth, i.e. maybe like more like the film industry doing more stuff here, which would open up a lot more work for all the creative types in Perth. Maybe not necessarily music. I mean, music would also would flourish with maybe some more opportunities, but given Perth's distance from everywhere, a band like Voyager and like one of our major hurdles is just getting to places where people are in order to play. Being sustainable as a band in Perth is very, very difficult just by virtue of the expense it is to travel everywhere else to do what you need to do, which is perform for people. So yeah, if there was some kind of way we could bring more people in, like the tourism industry, I know that there was chats of this world-class facility being built in Fremantle, I think, for the film industry that got botched for whatever reason. That would have gone so well if it had gone ahead. And yeah, so there's many improvements to be made. I really do think we've got a lot going for us. And I think that it'll happen eventually. I always wanted to be an actor. I just kind of fell in love with Jim Carrey and just making people laugh. That was my main thing. And then I went to high school and I wanted to play music, but I was too far gone. I didn't know anything about music. So I just started jamming with my friends at lunchtimes, and then them playing Blink-182 songs and all the rest just kind of egged me to try and play music. But my mum was a singer in cover bands in the 80s, and my dad was a bass player as well. And so my dad had a bass under the bed, so I just kind of got that out, used his amplifier, and just sat with a CD player in my room when I was in year 8, and just did that. I didn't have a computer or the internet or anything, so yeah, just exactly. Which is really, it's actually a blessing in disguise because it allowed me to really work on my oral skills, and I can just pick up anything and it helped me later on. And what I really like about the bass guitar is that I can play it with my hands. Like I don't need a pick, I don't need a bow or anything. Like I can be fully connected to this instrument that's vibrating against me. And I play guitar as well. Like I've played guitar. I started guitar about 8 months after I started playing bass, and one has really helped me inform the other. I just ping pong from both of them. I only started singing out of necessity. Yeah. So I was in a band and our singer left, and I'd been doing some backing vocals, and I just I like the challenge. I like to challenge myself musically, and in anything really. Like if there's a position where I think, oh, I could probably do that, then I will try for it. Yeah, and just by virtue of sticking it out, I've become better. And then what freaks me out is that I've never really considered myself a singer. However, I sing hours and hours every week doing cover gigs, and also now I'm a Eurovision singer. And that just blows me away. Yeah, it's weird. It's been a journey with Voyager. I mean, I started when I was 19. In 2007, I joined. So I've been basically just trying to get ahead with them every year since, you know, doing our best, doing our utmost to drive the band further and further. And now all these years later, it's just exploded with this Eurovision dream that was something that would never have anticipated would have gone ahead. So yeah, we just tried heaps. We had a really persistent manager as well, which really helped. There's so much behind the scenes work that happens in order for a band like us to get to the Eurovision stage. We need to prove ourselves over and over again. We need to have the experience. So now that it's happened and now that we were in that position, we were so ready. We're like more than ready, which makes it seem like we're just pulling it off really easily. There's a few performances. I mean, maybe there was 8 in total. Yeah, okay. So by the end, I was like, I was just running through the cues. Yeah. And I had to snap myself out. I was like, Alex, you're too relaxed. Yeah. There's 11,000 people here. And I'm like, oh, you know, but it's not being broadcast yet, so I can probably just take it easy. You know, I was just so relaxed. And just knowing that I was on that stage and I was meant to be there, and I was, I feel at home there. I feel the most adept at anything in my life when I'm on the stage. So with Voyager, I've got 3 minutes to do what I need to do. And so there was some part of me that was like, dude, just like get excited. Maybe get a little bit nervous because it's going to help. It's good to try and I love when I achieve that flow state in music. Oftentimes I am in my own head though, like I'm always in my own head thinking about stuff. So when you do hit that state of just like trance and I'm just not thinking, I'm just doing, and it's really magical. It's really beautiful. But there's something about music that any music lover will be able to relate with. It's just that feeling of connecting with this art that, you know, is, I guess it's intrinsic in human nature now because we've been doing it for so long, just from a heartbeat and feeling rhythm and feeling the movement and then feeling the connectedness of locking in with other individuals doing the same thing in unison and in harmony. And it's, I mean, you can get as metaphorical with it and philosophical with it as you want. It's like, it is beautiful to I guess maybe have that feeling of communicating in a way that isn't with your mouth, just saying words. Yeah.
I think that's a great...
I don't feel like I've ever had community, like, really, other than just my friends. The closest thing I would have felt to that is just in a band, which is like, I don't know how communal that is. I mean, there's like 5 people max, right? Or 4 other people that I can be that way with. And I feel that with Voyager, which I'm very lucky. But it's fleeting and a lot of it's a grind. It's not like we're working, we're doing stuff. And so, what really, I guess, like, being from Perth, I grew up with like AFL footy and sports, which I had no interest in. Yeah. So when you're in primary school age and, you know, like I'd play and it was fun. It was like I wasn't like awful at it. I was still able to participate, but I never felt like, I'm a football player. I love footy, or I love cars, or I love this and that. Like, I loved movies, but everyone likes movies. Yeah. And as a kid, there's not really any clubs for that or anything. There is some weird and I don't know, painful dichotomy there of wanting to belong, but also not wanting to belong at the same time. I mean, even now, I get imposter syndrome. Like, social media is such a big thing, and I scroll, and I see people doing 30-second clips. I'm like, I could do what they're doing, but I don't, like, I've sat down to record it and it's not exactly perfect how I need it to be. And then I feel crap about myself and then I just abort and I just leave it. Yeah. And it's like, I don't think that I need to prove myself in terms of like my resume, because I've just been doing this for so long and more than most people I know. But still, I feel like I don't belong. I'm not good enough, or I'm not there yet, which is kind of a blessing in disguise, I feel, because I'm always driving. I've always got something else to do. I don't feel completely satisfied. Like,
is that the inner perfectionist in you?
Yeah. Drive you? Which is weird because I'm not a perfectionist in like many other ways. Like, my room will be very messy and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
You know, outside of the house would need to be clean.
Yeah.
You know, but in my little inner sanctum, it can be messy as hell. It doesn't bother me. But why is something that I'm putting out there, it's almost like I feel it's my best face, it's my best part of myself that I want to be put out there, and I don't want anyone to find fault with it, even though there is beauty in the faults.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about music as well, is when there are faults and I can hear that there's glitches or there's weird things going on. It's idiosyncratic, and that's where the beauty is, really, yeah. For us putting out our latest album, Fearless in Love, it is kind of the continuation of the band. I mean, like, I don't really know just yet, because we're not far enough removed from it. But as a band, we try and put out albums every 2-3 years. So this was the next one.
Yeah.
It just so happens we happen to go on this crazy Eurovision journey. Australia decides we write a song called Dreamer, which comes second in the competition. Then we go on to record the rest of the album, and then we face vinyl processing delays. So logistically, we have to put the album on the back burner because we need to package it with the record, right? Then by the end of 2022, we think let's apply for big Eurovision. So we do that, get in, and now we're like, okay, now we need to postpone the album again. So this album is like, it's got an entire television journey wrapped up in it, and it's turned our world upside down. It's changed everything for us. So it's kind of special that within that album that we had the music for anyway, there's this huge journey.
Yeah, wow.
In those two songs, Dreamer and Promise.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the album itself is beautiful. Like, I love it. It's
So
great.
exciting.
It's heavy, and what we're going for is uplifting melancholy. I think maybe you're sitting in a dark candlelit bath, and you maybe feel emotional about something that's happening, but you also feel hope.
Yeah, okay.
You feel like you're able to get out of it and you will become better. Promise just encapsulates this wild Eurovision journey. It also signifies us changing as a band. We changed our songwriting approach for this, and we leveled up as individuals in a collective. We're just trying to fit everything into 3 minutes that we do, condense everything that we love, which is extended songs, into 3 minutes, into the mainstream, as a representation of us as a band, and also try and communicate our nation with that as well to the world.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if there's any song more powerful that we have in our repertoire than Promise. From the feedback that we've had online and from everyone that's spoken to us, they really feel that we've encapsulated something about Australia. And I didn't realise that that's what we were doing. But we've had a lot of these like Eurovision pre-parties.
Oh, yeah.
And in our backdrop, when we were playing on the stage, they have these huge LED screens behind us. And towards the end of the song, we had us on Hutt Lagoon in Kalbarri, or in Geraldton, I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's this beautiful drone footage, and it says Nanda Country, Western Australia, down the bottom. And I remember just every now and then I do a spin or something, and I just see it myself on the Hutt Lagoon with my friends. And we're in Spain, we're in the Netherlands. The Netherlands, we're playing to 5,000 people there, and just showing our state while we're performing this song was so special. I mean, going back to the community question, the lack of feeling of national pride or Australianism, I feel was like, I've never felt more Australian than when I was representing Australia at Eurovision. And I kind of always feel that we've tried to do our best to represent mainly our scene and as an Australian band on the various tours that we've been on internationally over the years. But the spotlight was on Australia, and people have told us that they felt Australian for the first time following us on Eurovision, which has left a really lasting impression on me because I can kind of relate to it. A lot of people were asking why Australia was involved in Eurovision in the first place. But we're like, why wouldn't we be involved? We're a nation of like immigrants and people that have come from all corners of the globe, like especially Australia and Perth. What I love about Perth is its multiculturalism. Like, I love that we're a melting pot of culture, and it's beautiful. To myself, I would pass on, encourage myself to have a little bit more faith in myself. There was a lot of things that I thought were completely out of reach, which I just realized I should have just tried to line the ducks up in a row a little bit better, instead of viewing everything in such a calamitous way, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, like, so for example, like I wanted to get into, like, I would love to have done acting, studying acting. But for me, I was like, oh, well, I can never be in movies. That's just not going to happen. Rather, what I should have done is just take small baby steps to achieve these goals a little bit more. And just had a little bit of faith and just tried my best to really just do that, or study some other career that might not be where I wanted to be right in that moment, but would set me on my way. Yeah. So having a little bit of faith in yourself is probably my advice to myself. Yeah. For other young kids, like in any creative fields, I would urge them to have a fallback plan. Right. Which is something I kind of started. I've done bar work, I work in the insurance industry, retail. Yeah. I've done a lot of different jobs. But having a different career that is actually in parallel to the one that you're interested in is actually, I think it's going to hold you in good stead. You'll want to be, if you're doing any kind of music, you'll want to get into some kind of content creation, some kind of media format where you're always in the conversation. You're somehow related to the scope of what you truly want to do, so that you can be around for the opportunities. Because so much of what we do is like being at the right place in the right time, but also informing people that this is what you're into. I know I have a lot of music friends, a lot of great talented musicians that just don't talk themselves up. And it's a real shame. And I feel like a lot of my opportunities, especially with like voiceover work and doing anything, it's just from me being in people's faces saying, hey, if you need this, a voiceover, I can do that, I can do that, I can do this. If you need anyone, and you just become the obvious choice. My entry into Voyager was because I don't know how, but I had the foresight to practice all of their songs. Like I almost knew that I was going to be in Voyager before I was in it. I was hanging around with the band for a couple of years before, doing their lights. This is the thing, I got in there and I was like, I'm not their bass player, but I want to be. Cool. So I'm going to do their lights for them at the shows. I'm going to like hang out with them. I was in a band with the two guitarists at the time. I was in their other band. So it's like, I was the obvious choice. And once I learned all the material, like I did my homework, I was in the right place at the right time. And when the opportunity finally arose, I was the obvious choice. Nice. And I really want to believe that was just, that was just the universe putting me forward. But it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't learnt the songs and done the work. Yeah. Another piece of advice that I recommend for young people is to recognize the two mindsets, your fixed mindset and the growth mindset. I didn't realize that I had a fixed mindset until 2 years ago. And I was reading a book called Mindset by Dr. Carol Dweck, and realized that my thinking about stuff was really defeatist and it could be changed. Yeah. So if I see my challenges as opportunities for growth, and not something that will defeat me, if I fail, doesn't mean I'm a failure. It just gives me an opportunity to fix it. And it gives me a chance to see what I did wrong and improve on that holistically. So for someone like me who's very like naturally low self-esteem, beat up on myself a lot, imposter syndrome, having this growth mindset has been really, really powerful.